Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, North Canton, or NortheastFactoryDirect.com. Schedule a free kitchen update today.
ABC Equipment in Brunswick and Avon is your full-line Kubota construction dealer. From skid steers to excavators, Northeast Ohio job sites feature Kubota construction equipment for getting tough jobs done. Strength, performance, and dependability. That's Kubota. Right now, get 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. And trade-ins are welcome. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full details. Now is the time to buy. ABC Equipment in Brunswick and Avon is Kubota of Cleveland. See us at abcequipment.com.
Hey, what's up? Hammer here for Extend Technologies. Now football season is here, and Extend has some amazing home theaters, big screen panel TVs, and sound solutions. They have TVs on Get to xtendav.com today.
The Great American Road Trip is on at Spitzer Auto World. New inventory is here. Hundreds of vehicles, thousands in savings. All to get you on your summer road trip for less. Plus, it's all backed by the Spitzer Shield, featuring a lifetime nationwide powertrain warranty. Unlimited time, unlimited miles. First year complimentary maintenance, and more at Spitzer Auto World.
At Spitzer, our world revolves around you.
Spitzer Shield must...
Hello.
Specified intervals and documented. Any breakdowns must be completed at a Spitzer location within 40 miles. Warranty effective anywhere in the continental United States of America, Alaska, Hawaii, and Canada. See dealer for complete details.
Tune in to Buckeye Game Day each Saturday for the Inside Scoop presented by Perry's Ice Cream. Hear from some of the best experts on the Buckeyes as they break down the
Hello.
news
You
and
got me,
more.
Kevin.
Perry's Ice
Yeah, you got me?
Yep.
Perry's Ice Cream.
All right, sounds good.
We're going to stick on 3, and then Z is just going to stick on 1 since those are the ones that are working for now.
Or register for the next level.
All right, that sounds good.
Happening live on the ESPN Cleveland patio
How much we
October
got?
5th. Visit
40 seconds.
Circle K. Take it easy.
Legendary football careers start on Friday night.
Hunt sweeping right side. He's got an alley. He goes in. Touchdown. Kareem Hunt.
Mahomes in the pocket. Floats a pass near side. Kelsey over the shoulder. He's got the catch. He's got the touchdown.
Oh, baby, let's do it live on a Game Day Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. How you living, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Game day, getting ready to get to Pittsburgh for the Browns and the Steelers. Monday Night Football, an opportunity for the Browns to make a huge statement tonight. I really think this is one where it could be a huge statement for the Cleveland Browns. And, getting ready for this. If the Browns win this game, not only would they go 2-0 for the first time since 1993, not only would they, beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh in the regular season for the first time since 2003, they would be one of just 3 teams, 3 in the entire AFC to be 2-0. And in this hyper-competitive conference, when you think about playoffs, that would be a great thing after 2 weeks to be one of only 3 teams at the top of this conference.
When you start to think about that, and you start to think about the amount of teams that are 0-2 who can try to dig themselves out, Cincinnati's the only team that's been 0-2 to dig themselves out and still make the postseason. So you laid out correctly the importance of this one from our perspective. It's equally as important from their perspective. Here's the thing, bud. The Browns are the better team.
Yes,
They're more talented at every level. They're deeper at every level. They're more dangerous at every level. They have
every level.
They have everything. You and I were talking this morning. It's the mystical things that give Pittsburgh the advantage. It's Renegade. Yep. It's Monday at night. It's the fact that you can't win over there. Well, that's all nonsense. It's nonsense. Just be the better team. Play to your part. That's why I think this one's so big for us. I really do, because what this message can send, not only to the rest of the league, but I think to yourself, to your fan base, that you're immune to nonsense, because the advantages they have, I'm not – it's one of the great atmospheres in all of sport, a game at Heinz Field or whatever it's called now. There's no question. Renegade's one of the coolest things ever. All of those things check out. But, man, you're better. Just go exercise those demons and take care of your business, and you come home on that bus ride in a very good place.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The Browns are the better team. I mean, you go through it, and going through my preparations for this, the Browns are by far the better team, as a matter of fact, in terms of the talent on both sides of the ball, the talent all over this roster, especially with the Steelers going to be without the services of Cam Hayward, as well as Deontay Johnson, who's been their leading receiver the last 2 years. The Browns are better, so they need to go out, and I think it's not only prove it to the fan base, prove it to to themselves that we are who we think we are, that we are a team of consequence, and a team of consequence goes out and they win this game. That's the bottom line. That's exactly what the Cleveland Browns should do. They should go to Pittsburgh. They should beat the Steelers. Is it going to be easy? Of course not. Are the Steelers game? Of course they are. Mike Tomlin, in his career as the coach since 2007, which is crazy to say out loud, has never had a losing season. And when his team has been beaten by 20 points the week before, they have come back and won 4 straight games and 10 of the last 11. So this won't be easy. But it's not about being easy. It's about taking what you want. It is about, for the Cleveland Browns, going in there and just imposing your will and being the team that we believe that they are, that they believe that they are, and that on paper they most certainly are.
It's a styles make the fights thing too, right? I mean, we just saw San Francisco, who has a similar approach, who has a similar dominance on the defensive line, just batter them and bully them in their place in the opener. You are as equipped to do that as they are. And so that, to me, is the key to this whole thing. I do think momentum tonight will be critical, buddy, especially from their perspective. There's a lot of finger-pointing over there with Matt Canada and the offense. There's some lingering doubt about, obviously, Kenny Pickett and what's going on there, even Najee Harris. If we can get a couple of 3-and-outs early, I think that can pertain very well for how this goes tonight. It feels like there's a lot of internal questioning over in Pittsburgh heading into this one.
Yeah, and we already mentioned they won't have Deontay. We'll see what they have with Pickens. I think they're going to try to establish Najee Harris, who's had a lot of success against the Cleveland Browns. And so I think for the Browns, it's imperative that they stop Najee Harris, put Kenny Pickett in 3rd and longs, and then get after him and harass him into sacks and into turnovers. I mean, for Najee Harris, he's got his career-high game against the Browns, his career-long rushing touchdown or career-long play against the Browns. 80-plus and a touchdown in 3 of his 4 career games against the Browns. They're 3-0 when they do that. So I think you've got to stop him. But to your point, you go back a week ago. Go back 1 week.
Yep.
They opened their game with 5 straight 3-and-outs to the Steelers offense. 5 straight. He got sacked on 2 of them. He threw a pick on 1 of them. So this was a situation where, their offense was, and the game was over. You have an opportunity, I think, to do that again and get them start thinking. This crowd, you get a jump out like that, you get 3-and-outs, there will be boo birds.
Yes.
This crowd will turn on Matt Canada.
There's no doubt.
So you give him that. You make that happen.
We've talked about the Deontay Johnson, the Pickens, although Pickens was limited Saturday but did not have an injury designation as of today, right? At least that's what it says here in the notes. I have not had a chance to look it up, but also no Cam Hayward. So what this also allows, and Nick Chubb has been dominant everywhere he's been, but I'm pretty sure is still looking for his first 100-yard game in Pittsburgh. It feels like this has the makings of a big 1 out of 24 tonight.
It feels like it does as well. You talk about Cam Hayward out of the lineup for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and when he has been out of the lineup, they give up 5.2 yards per carry. Nick Chubb, comes into this one with some history. He needs 94 rushing yards to pass Mike Pruitt for 3rd all-time in Browns history. He has to exercise some demons. He has not been great necessarily against the Steelers. For his career, 72.5 yards per game, only 2 rushing touchdowns in 9 games against them, 4.6 yards a carry. But when he rushes for more than 80 yards, which he's done 3 times, the Browns are 3-0. So I think, yes, 24, getting behind that line. They have great pass rushers in T.J. Watt and Highsmith, but I think you can run at them. That's where I think the Browns have to go. I think should be a game heavy Nick Chubb. Last week the Browns had 10 runs of more than 10 yards. That was number 1 in the NFL. So you can be a big play offense even on the ground. Just go and do that.
This is fun, man. It's a fun one. It's a fun one for Coach Stefanski. It's a fun one for the organization. It's a much bigger game. If you want to just think of it from a practical standpoint, it's a much bigger result that is needed in Pittsburgh than it is needed here. What there is here is a chance to really exert will, get to 2-0, create separation, become one of the teams in the AFC, keep pace with Baltimore, would be in first in the division. You'd be 2-0 in the division to start the season. That's a tremendous the fastest way to make the playoffs is to win your division. To start out 2-0 in the absolutely brutal AFC North would be a huge thing for the Browns. It's a big thing for Coach to go over there. Remember the playoff game a couple of years ago? That's the last win we've had over there. You were there. You and about 100 of your closest friends, but Coach wasn't able to coach in that game. So, it was the COVID time, so he was back home, and so that was Preef. So there's a lot on this one for our organization as well. Even though it's more important technically to them from the standpoint of going 0-2, it almost seems almost insurmountable.
It does, and for us putting ourselves at 2-0, you want to be a team that makes the playoffs. You want to be in the race to win this division. That puts you at the forefront of that conversation. That makes you, as the Cleveland Browns, the team, I believe, to be reckoned with in this conference. And if the Ravens go 3-0, you'll get a chance to see them in Week 4, and that'll be a game for first place. The Browns need this one, though. I think that it is so much bigger than just one game. If this was Week 2 at home against Tennessee, of course you'd say we should win. It's it's an important game. The Browns need to take care of the games they're supposed to, and you'd feel like, yeah, you're the favorites. You should win. This is totally different. It is the Steelers. It is exercising a lot of demons, and it is making a statement on national television and putting yourself in a position with 15 games to go, which is still a ton, but putting yourself in the ultimate position. 2-0 in the division, wins over the Bengals, win over the Steelers on Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh. I just can't even stress how big that would be for so many, many reasons.
The belief that would come with it, the springboard that would come with it, the 10 feet tall and bulletproof that would come with it. It's all of those things. We are battered as well. Amari Cooper showed up on the injury report over the weekend. Z, what can you tell us about Amari?
Yeah, he injured his groin in practice on Saturday. He is questionable. There is optimism that it is, first of all, not a bad injury or a serious injury. The question will be, is he available? If he is available, how available is he? We know he can play through injuries. He did it last year. We know he did it at a very high level. I think they will be cautious with him, but he did travel with the team. And so there is some hope that, by game time, he will be able to go. But I think the Browns most likely will err on the side of caution. But this is a big game. And even if you had him out there for, a dozen snaps, I don't think you're going to get a full Amari Cooper game even if he is up.
Yeah.
But even if you were able to have him in a couple of plays that you felt fit very well with what he did against their defense, that would be helpful. And if he's out, I think we're going to see a lot more Marquise Goodwin. He's played only 10 snaps in Week 1. I think we will continue to see, Donovan Peoples-Jones led the receivers in snaps in week number 1, playing 66. It was Amari was third with 46, Elijah second with 51. So I think you'll see more Elijah Moore and DPJ in 2 receiver sets. And I think Goodwin and Cedric Tillman. With David Bell, I don't know. I don't know. But I wouldn't mind seeing Cedric Tillman out there doing some of the things that you were going to ask Amari Cooper to do on the outside.
It is a tale of 2 quarterbacks, one who is wildly established and wildly successful and is great historically in his career in prime time. Another one who was anointed in camp, quite honestly, for what he did in the preseason. I mean, they hang on to that. They hang on to the fourth quarter comebacks. He had 4 of them last year. There's nothing statistically that would lead you to believe that Kenny Pickett has ascended. He was brutal last week against San Francisco. And one other thing, I was talking to somebody from Pittsburgh this morning, and they really pushed back on the PFF numbers in terms of the hurries that were given up. Their contention was it was far more that Kenny Pickett ran to sacks and did not see the field, and that the offensive line wasn't quite as bad as the stats would lead you to believe. And I said, well, that's an even bigger problem if that's the case, if your quarterback can't see it and he's running into sacks. But there's a lot on that situation. It feels like most of it's on Canada there. For Watson, it's funny. I had a conversation with my brother-in-law Sunday. We were talking about this game, and he's like, how do you feel? I said, I think we're the better team. I think we're going to handle them. And he goes, boy, it'd be nice to get a great big game out of Watson. I said, yeah, he wants it too. He wants it too. So hopefully that can be something that happens tonight as well.
Yeah, look, this is about one thing and one thing only, getting a win. There are no bad wins and there are no good losses. What I want to see, though, to your point, is an efficient operation from Deshaun Watson. Get that completion percentage up near his career mark of 67%. Don't turn the football over. Take care of it. Use a combination of your arm and your legs as he did so effectively in week 1 against Cincinnati, where, he still gave you basically 200 total yards of offense and 2 touchdowns. Like, you'll take that. That will be enough today as long as we take care of the football. And so that's what you want to see from Deshaun Watson, getting those numbers back to what we're accustomed to seeing from him. The weather should not be an issue tonight. It should be beautiful. Should be a little chilly, perfect football weather. And you want to see that the ball come out on time, accurately, and then avoid the back-breaking plays. I don't see us losing this game if we are neutral in the turnover battle. Plain, just straight up.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
see
hard
us
to
losing
imagine.
this game if we are neutral in the turnover battle. So do not turn the football over as an offense. Have a clean sheet. And if you can take it away as a defense, phenomenal. But as long as we are right here, even with them in that critical stat, and Deshaun Watson's a big part of that as the guy who touches the ball on every play for us on offense, then I think we are going to be just fine in this game.
We painted a picture of all the advantages that the Browns have. If there is a distinct advantage for Pittsburgh, it's their two ends. It's Highsmith and it's Watt going against Jed Wills and DeJuan Jones, who's been a star, obviously, in camp. But this is a different thing entirely. Kevin Stefanski's no dummy. He's going to have a plan for that. What do you think it will be tonight?
Well, I think that part of it's going to be running the football, right? Part of it is with Nick Chubb. I think you're going to have to get the ball out quickly. I think you're going to have to, at times, chip with a tight end, chip with a running back as well, just to do something to kind of slow those guys down. There will be times when you need to leave them on islands. And if you go back and you watch T.J. Watt, every pressure that he had week 1, and he had 6 of them and 3 sacks, came from one-on-one situations. So you have to be very judicious about when those one-on-one situations are. And if you are in a one-on-one, you got to know, Deshaun Watson, it's either got to be ball out or you get out. Because if you sit there and hold the ball, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, they will get to you. And you think about, from a Highsmith standpoint, last year, 14.5 sacks. He was tied for 6th in the league in sacks, first with 5 forced fumbles, 4 with strip sack. In terms of strip sacks, he had 4, which was 2nd in the league. And he had 4 sacks in 2 games against us last year, 6 sacks in his last 3 games against us. Those 2 can be the wreckers. And when we talk turnovers, that doesn't necessarily mean an interception. It could mean a sack, strip, fumble at an inopportune time that either takes points off the board for us or puts points on the board for them, or both. That needs to be avoided, and it's a big game for Jed Wills.
Oh, baby.
Huge.
Yeah.
Step up, Jed Wills. And on the other side, DeJuan Jones in his NFL debut. There might be no tougher assignment for a right tackle in the National Football League.
Yeah, conversely, on the other side of the ball, the same issues that they had, however you want to categorize the pressure they gave up last week in San Francisco, this pressure will be even more immense. Bosa was really quiet in the game last week, despite all of the other issues that the 49ers were able to do. This will be this D-line unveiled in a primetime audience. Obviously, a lot of people watched us against Cincinnati, but it's not just Miles and Za'Darius. It's what's happening in the middle. There's an opportunity here to impose will, and I think I can't wait to see what Jim Schwartz has in store tonight.
No, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're right. I don't know, did you see or come across, perhaps on your other show, you even discussed it, Jordan Palmer, Joe Burrow's quarterback coach, did an interview where he talked about where he talked about basically the Browns' defense. He goes, it's a matter of time before people are starting to talk about this defense like the best defenses in the NFL and the best defensive lines, and said that they absolutely wrecked the game against Joe Burrow, and they have an opportunity, I think, to do that again tonight against a significantly worse quarterback with fewer weapons. That's not a knock on the weapons in Pittsburgh, because there is talent.
Yep.
But it's not Chase, Higgins, and Boyd.
No.
It's not Joe Burrow.
No.
So I think this defense has a chance to do something very special tonight.
All right, lots to get to on this one, and juxtaposed to what happened yesterday, the importance of this one just continues to rise for us and obviously for the Steelers as well. We will get you set, go around what was a pretty wild Sunday in the National Football League. Joe Hayden will join us in the second hour. Brooke Pryor behind enemy lines with the Steelers coming up in about 15 minutes from now. Lots to get to. Keys to the game, over-unders, AWOC as well is happening. Man, we're loaded up as we should be on a game day Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the Dog Race Sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for a chance to have your pup compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/contest to enter. Check out more from Milkbone at your local grocer or pet supply store. I got to tell you, so obviously this is a chance to watch a divisional game on Sunday around the league, and that's why this one is so big, because of everything else. In addition to on its own, it's huge, but because of everything else that happened around the league. Cincinnati last year is the only 0-2 team to make the postseason after starting 0-2. They were, ho-hum, no big deal in terms of what happened with their loss here in week 1. Blame it on the weather, whatever. We're on to week 2. They've got real problems, and it starts, I think maybe Jamar Chase was right, Z. Burrow, from their perspective, he probably should have sat out till week 5. He wasn't right in the opener here, and now you see this video of him walking in the tunnels of the stadium down there limping. I'm not sure he's going to be right for a while.
Yeah, he aggravated that against the Ravens. And I watched this game in full, and so I have quite a few thoughts about this game on both sides of the ball. Number one, it feels to me like, to your point, yeah, Joe Burrow not at 100%, but like he was much better this week than he was the week before.
Yep.
They got T. Higgins going. They cannot get the ball to Jamar Chase downfield. Mm-hmm. It's stunning to me to watch that. That is probably one of the biggest shocks of the early
He's got like
portion of this season.
70 yards, right, in the first 2 games combined?
Yeah. And what's wild about it is it feels like their scheme, it doesn't feel like they're doing anything that is surprising anybody. Like, they're not really catching defenses unaware in any way, shape, or form. Do you agree with that?
I don't have a problem with that.
It just feels like teams are prepared for what they're going to do. And in watching it, and I kind of watched this game more with an eye on the Ravens, and I wanted to see, what's this new offense look like? And I'll be honest with you. Gus Edwards, I think, is a good running back. This offense looked kind of like their plan is, you didn't see as much Patrick Ricard. You didn't see a lot of those kind of the read options and all that, and you didn't see as many kind of designed runs for Lamar. But tell me how you feel about this. It felt like their offense was Lamar drop back. If it's there right away, throw it quickly.
Yeah.
We'll take a couple shots downfield, but if it's not, just run. I mean, I don't know how many times a game he just dropped back and just ran.
Oh, I think that's to me, it looked very much like what you would do like in a college one-read offense.
Yes, like if this is there, throw it. If it's not, run.
Go. Yeah. There's a lot. Now, that's real dangerous. As long as you have him and he's healthy, then it's very, very dangerous. But if something is to happen, then there's going to be an issue with that. I didn't think either one. I mean, Cincinnati was obviously very disappointing. And I think they have big issues with the calf and all that. I don't think that this is something that's going to wash away quickly for them. I also think that while it is a nice win for Baltimore, I'm with you. I'm in no mood to crown them anything that special at this point. It's a really nice win for them. I thought Cincinnati would win, so I got that one wrong. But it's not something where I'm ready to crown. I think the other thing around the AFC, you think about the teams that are 0-2 that had aspirations. Cincinnati, the Chargers.
I mean, jeez.
Come
Louise.
on, man.
Dude.
Come on,
brutal.
buddy.
I watched that whole thing. They're so much better. They were so much better.
They're not
than
the sum of their parts.
Not even close. It's crazy.
No.
Herbert played. They have no idea how to win, and that's a team right there. They need to fire that coach, and they need to get somebody in there that knows what they're doing, and they're going to be just fine. Sean Payton, you said it last week. We said it all offseason, honestly, that made the mistake of going to Denver when he was the exact – and the Chargers made a mistake of letting him go Denver.
Yep.
He was the perfect person. Perfect to be there with the Chargers, and if he's there, they're 2-0.
Well, and the team he's at is 0-2. Denver now 0-2 as well. They're not good.
Well, the surprising thing is their defense is not good. Russ was actually decent enough in this game. They did have the huge lull in the second half, but they were up, 21-3?
They were up 21-3 in the game, and they let the Commies come all the way back.
Yes.
Then they got down 14. They almost tie it with a Hail Mary.
Hail Mary was unreal.
Which was crazy in real time.
Unreal.
Yeah. I would also say that not probably, the most cruel outcome, depending on where you were with the scores, And for us, it was
good for me.
Pedro. I was the Pedro son Pedro always wanted. If you remember Pedro calling in on Friday,
Yeah, well, didn't work out.
I have never in my life seen an NFL team down 10 run a 2-minute drill, spike it with 4 seconds to run a field goal unit out. And the difference between 10 and 7.5 was crazy. I mean, what the hell? What are you doing? Like, throw it in the end zone. What do we need a field goal for? Like, it's almost like they did it for, like, their Rams backers clubs.
It felt like, yes, ultimately that's the outcome. They just should have kicked a field goal the play before, tried a long field goal so you had time for an onside
of course.
kick and then a Hail Mary.
That would have made sense.
You can't kick the field goal so that as it goes through the uprights, time is out. Yeah, that was wild. My dad was not happy about that, not because my dad doesn't do any sports investing, but
yeah,
it was that was pretty stunning. Puka Nakua's for real.
Yes, he is. He's very good. I mean, Stafford's good too.
It almost feels like they found, and I know that his body is not the same type, or he's not the same type of receiver, but I'm just saying, in much the same way that Anquan Bolden just kind of came on the scene and took over. Now, he was a much earlier round pick, but I mean, 15 catches in a game. He's at 10 and 100, and he's the only player in the history of the league to start their career with 10-plus catches and 100-plus yards in 2 games. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look like he's going anywhere.
Oh, no. Stafford's quite comfortable with him. So it was Miami's legit. You knew that going in. They proved it last night. Dallas is legit, too. Their defense is – Micah Parsons is on another level, brother.
I feel like Dallas is legit, and we're not even going to really know how legit they are because they get the Cardinals next week. So they got like a Giants team that is shaky at best that had to come back from 20-0 at the half to beat 20 down at the half to beat Arizona. They get a Jets team without Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets, it's a travesty. I mean, they need to make a trade today. Like,
correct.
Go get Jacoby Brissett today.
Yeah, they can't keep doing that. You can't run that back out there anymore.
No,
that's not right.
No, it's not okay. It's not okay at all. So, yeah. And then they're going to get Arizona. So Dallas is going to be 3-0, and we're really not going to know much about them.
No. I think I know based on what I'm seeing, and I think they're real.
No, I think
they're
real
very
too.
real, yeah. All right, we'll get some perspective behind enemy lines. Brooke Pryor of ESPN going to join us coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk and Elk Serious Lawyers, Serious Injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And with that, we head behind enemy lines. Great friend of the program, ESPN NFL Nation Steelers reporter Brooke Pryor, joining us on the Twisted Tea hotline with the latest from Pittsburgh. Brooke, let's just start with the temperature of the fan base heading into this one. Obviously bullied in the opener, a Browns team that they've done the majority of the bullying on, but it feels like there's a lot of questions right now over in Pittsburgh. Where's the fan base with it tonight?
Yeah, I think the fan base is kind of tepid, maybe lukewarm. I don't know. I think that they're confused because they came out of the preseason feeling like, oh my gosh, we've got a team, we've got a quarterback, look at this offense. And like, right, it's the preseason, so how much of it can you believe? But I think everybody felt pretty good. And then you go into game one, and I'm going to be honest, like I thought that it was going to be a much closer game than what we saw. I thought, hey, the 49ers probably still have an edge, but this feels like the kind of game that the Steelers win, especially based off of the last 2 years when they beat the Bills and beat the Bengals in the season opener, and it felt like, okay, I mean, they can win this game, and then not only do they not win, but they just get, I mean, just picked apart, and nothing that we saw in the preseason felt like it carried over, and so I think this fan base is just a little bit confused, a little bit feeling like, oh my gosh, we're, in the middle of, feels like they're taken right back to the middle of last season, right before the bye, when the offense just looked hapless, like it didn't know what it was doing. And so I think people here are ready to see week 2 to see, hey, was week 1, was that just a fluke, or is this a serious issue?
Yeah, and that's kind of the question, right, for this team. And they started with the 5 straight 3-and-outs. You wonder, Brooke, what would your expectation if this game starts with multiple 3-and-outs on offense? What's this crowd going to do?
It's going to boo. It is going to be very loud, and it is going to be very unhappy. They did not mind booing the offense last game, but the difference is, I mean, there aren't very many things that this team can do if the offense can't get itself figured out. Because look, they're not going to bench Kenny Pickett. They've invested too many resources in him. This is not a team either that, parts with coordinators mid-season or early season. Matt Canada is coaching out the last year of his contract right now, but the Steelers are kind of up against a wall here. They've got to figure something out because you start out with that many 3-and-outs again, and things are not good. But I think that they've got to get back to the identity that they told us they were going to have all off season, and that was, this is going to be a run-first team. They've built the O-line to be a run-first team. They've got Najee Harris. They've got a complimentary back in Jalen Warren. It hurts them this game that they don't have Anthony McFarland. He's out with a knee injury, and he was a nice kind of change of pace back. But this is a team that they have got to run the ball more than they did a week ago if they want to get this offense going.
Yeah, and you mentioned running it, Najee Harris on one side, but when they do throw it, we know they will not have Deontay Johnson, who's been the leading receiver the last 2 seasons, went to the Pro Bowl in 2021. What can you tell us, though, about George Pickens, who popped up on the injury report with a hamstring issue over the weekend?
Yeah, that was kind of a weird one, right? I mean, he pops up as limited, didn't do a whole lot in that last practice on Saturday, but then didn't have an injury designation. So they clearly think that it's minor enough that there's no question that he'll play. But that is certainly concerning when you're already down Deontay Johnson, and this wide receiver core is really top heavy. And when you're already missing the number 1 guy, you can't really afford to have any other injuries to that group or for anybody else to be limited. But I'd look for Calvin Austin will probably be more involved, and he's built like a slot guy, but he plays on the outside. And then Allen Robinson, funny enough, is built like an outside guy but plays in the slot, so they just kind of reverse there. I think Gunnar Olszewski will end up being active and probably have a role in the offense. But yeah, that's someone, George Pickens is going to be someone that I keep a very close eye on during warm-ups to see how much he is able to do because, I mean, hamstring, any kind of soft tissue injury is really concerning.
Well, and it's not just the injuries there. It's as big, or perhaps probably bigger, quite frankly, is the Cam Hayward injury and the difference when he's there and when he's not. And the Browns continue to have Nick Chubb. And so there's a problem there, too. How will the Steelers try to combat the loss of someone of Hayward's magnitude?
Probably say a lot of prayers, and then also they'll have they're going to replace Hayward by committee because let's face it, on this roster there is not another defensive lineman that is as well rounded as Cam Hayward. So I think it's going to be a combination of Armand Watts, who's a veteran they signed in free agency. They'll also have Keanu Benton, second-round pick, who I think will end up being really good, but he's young, so it's hard to tell if he's ready to step into this role. They'll also have DeMarvin Leal, and then they also have to hope that Larry Ogunjobi's foot holds up. I mean, he did practice on Saturday, but he, is kind of known for not doing a lot of work during the week and then being a gamer and being effective. But I think they were hoping that he would be more healthy this year than he was last year. But I mean, it kind of feels like Zach Wilson going to play the Cowboys on a short week, right? Like, this is what I feel like the Steelers defensive line facing Nick Chubb now without Cam Hayward kind of feels like, all right, we're just going to throw you in the fire and good luck. This is a baptism by fire. So it's not going to get any easier either. After this week, they have Josh Jacobs and the Raiders next week. So this line has got to come together and come together fast to have any prayer, because the Browns are way more successful and win way more games in this series when Nick Chubb has over 80 rushing yards.
Yeah, that's kind of been the magic formula. When Najee Harris has 80 yards and a touchdown on the ground, the Steelers win. When Nick Chubb runs for more than 80 yards, the Browns have won in this series. I want to ask you, though, because you're talking about up front, but it's also going to impact the linebackers, and it's a whole new linebacking core on the middle. Cole Holcomb, Quan Alexander, Elandon Roberts, all new to the Steelers this year. Talk to me kind of about that rotation. Are there kind of specific roles, and what did you see from that trio in Week 1 against the Niners team that was able to run the ball pretty effectively against the Steelers?
Yeah, I think the inside linebackers were okay. To me, there weren't any significant breakdowns in that group, but they also weren't playing great. Otherwise, Christian McCaffrey wouldn't have had, felt like, near 200 rushing yards. I think that Elandon Roberts has impressed me the most. He's a downhill thumper. He is the hardest tackler of that group, but I think they've got to be better in coverage. Yep. Cole Holcomb is very familiar with Nick Chubb. He played against him when Carolina played Georgia, the season opener. I think it was the Chick-fil-A Bowl. I can't remember what year, but he knows Nick Chubb and knows what he's capable of. And I think that Holcomb's got to step up and get to another level. I mean, he was kind of one of the prized free agency signings. He was slowed down a little bit recovering from that foot surgery, but I think that he needs to be better. And I think that the way the rotation worked out last week is that Cole Holcomb and Quan Alexander played more than Elandon Roberts. I kind of think that Roberts is going to end up playing more this week because of Nick Chubb, but we'll see how that ends up shaking out. But I think it's going to be a rotation of those three, and that that Mark Robinson, their other inside linebacker, it doesn't have a very big role.
And then on the back end, some new faces as well. Patrick Peterson, Keanu Neal, Shannon Sullivan, some new faces to go with Minkah Fitzpatrick, Levi Wallace, and DeMonte KZ. What did you see from some of those new guys last week? Sullivan didn't play a ton. They were in a lot of base defense. But, Pat Pete goes on his podcast, guarantees an interception, says that the Niners have all these tells, and then gives up 2 touchdowns to Brandon Ayuk. How did that kind of play? And what's kind of your sense of this secondary that's got some new faces?
Yeah, that wasn't great. I think that Patrick Peterson is maybe not going to say things like that on his podcast anymore. You don't want to give that. That's an unforced error. That is free bulletin board material. And there was the first touchdown. I don't think was as much Patrick Peterson's fault. DeMonte KZ went the wrong way, and he should have been there to help out. But I think that they've got to put Patrick Peterson in some better positions. He's not the player he used to be. He doesn't have the same speed to go one-on-one with some of these guys. I think that he is more effective in the slot, or sometimes they've even used him in a safety package. I think that I'd like to see more Joey Porter Jr., but his tackling isn't, I think, where they want it to be to justify playing him more. Keanu Neal also did not have the best game. I just think that the secondary was my biggest concern for this team going into the season, at least defensively. And the first game did not make me feel better at all. I felt like, okay, well, yep, these are all the things that I was worried about. I think they really miss Cam Sutton because he was a dependable guy that could do a lot of things. And now they've got a lot of guys trying to fill that role, and the combination isn't quite doing it. You know, you can have an all-pro guy like Minka Fitzpatrick, but even if he really wants to and tries, he can't do everything. So I think that it helps the Steelers that Amari Cooper is likely not going to play or definitely not going to play, because I know that he has picked apart that secondary in the past, but I still think that is an area that teams can and probably will exploit.
Brooke, I'll get you out of here on this one. Browns a favorite over there for the first time since '89. If that doesn't hold, if Pittsburgh is able to go against what the Sharps think this way will go, how will they do it? What does a Pittsburgh win look like tonight from their perspective?
It's got to. I think they've got to stop Nick Chubb. That's the biggest key, and they've got to run the ball more. I mean, I know that this is an offense that said, look, I mean, Kenny Pickett threw the ball really well in the preseason, but if they try to lean on the pass game as much as they did against the 49ers, and I know that a big part of that was because they got in a 20-point hole early, but I think that they have got to commit to the run and see where that carries them and let that open up the passing game, but they have got to get off to a fast start, and they cannot get down quickly early because then that causes them to abandon everything and they're playing catch up. So for this team to be successful, I mean, stop Nick Chubb, score early, don't get down, and run the ball.
Brooke, great stuff. Thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's our friend Brooke Pryor, ESPN NFL Nation Steelers reporter, joining us on the Twisted Tea hotline with the latest from Pittsburgh, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Coming up next, Gibby and over-unders. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Cleveland Browns, Avocados for Peru, and Meyer want you to enter the Ultimate Football Sweepstakes. A chance to win a 2023 Ford electric pickup truck, VIP tour, cross-country mortgage campus, and a $1,000 Meyer gift card. Visit your local Meyer, clevelandbrowns.com/avocados for the opportunity there. Now let's head out on another Twisted Tea hotline. Gibby, in enemy territory.
Gibby.
Give me the lay of the land, Gibby.
It's a beautiful sunshine day in the land that smells like hot dog water.
Oh, boy.
72 degrees, sunny, and perfect weather for a little ass kicking.
Oh, my gosh. Chesty Gibby.
Gibby.
Oh,
So
my
chesty.
God. Chesty Gibby.
Let's go. Let's get off the schneid. I've been doing this. This is year 11. I haven't won a game over here. And everybody goes, well, you won a playoff game. I did win a playoff game. I was at First Energy.
I was there,
now,
Gibby.
Cleveland Brown Stadium.
Holy Z.
Zagura was there.
I was there.
I was not. I would like to see one for myself in person, and tonight is the night, my friends.
Z had a great comment for me this morning. We had a little chat, and he said, "Don't even let him play Renegade." Like, wouldn't that be something if it's so out of control in the third, fourth quarter that there's no Renegade?
I would love nothing more. Love nothing more. Actually, I'd like Renegade, but with the Browns highlights of them destroying the Steelers. Maybe that would make them angry, but I don't really care if we're up by enough. I actually heard your little thing today, and it was the nicest that you two have ever played together.
We always play nice.
It was just
professional.
really professional.
You don't play nice.
What was it?
It was professional.
What was
professional. Yeah, it was
Oh,
Big
yeah,
B
it was
radio.
almost professional.
Yeah, it was Big B radio. We were
literally
we were doing like a real NFL preview stuff, heavy stuff, heavy lifting.
I was literally shaving in the bathroom, and I go out loud, "Yeah, actually, it is.
That's right.
Pretty good. You're on brand."
We had some real breaking down to do, Z.
We did. We had to go through it like
There
a couple
was a
of big
serious
bees.
tone to it.
That's right.
It is serious. It's a serious game. It's a serious opportunity.
It's a very serious game.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, guys, and Gibby, you're already over there. Hey, I asked Brooke this. Let me get this from you since you've been over there. What'd you got over there yesterday, probably by 6 a.m. to make sure you got your lines tested?
Yeah, it's. I feel like I've been here for a week. I feel like Philly was just as long.
Give me a temperature of the city of Pittsburgh on their team today.
Not seeing the chestiness, that's for sure. I mean, they're going to be ready to go tonight. There is no question they are going to be ready to go. But I'm not seeing the usual "we're Pittsburgh" type deal. So I think there's a little trepidation. I think there's a little. Well, let's see what happens tonight before we put the panic button in.
Okay. All right.
It is wild that we're, dealing with a situation here where Brooke Pryor said the same thing. If the Browns could just get out to a fast start, put a touchdown on them, get a 3-0, 3-and-out, get the ball back, score again, get another 3-and-out, like this place will boo the Steelers. We have a chance to fully turn that crowd against them, and I think that is exciting, and that is something in all my time that certainly has not been the case.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to think of a moment, and I would say probably not. But there is a universal hatred for Matt Canada here, that's for sure.
Well, it's easier to blame him than blame the quarterback, right?
I guess. I'm fascinated to see what he does tonight.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody this morning, Post-Gazette writer, who was saying that his contention was that while the offensive line wasn't great, it was far from the problem, that Pickett was running into sacks, missing open guys down the field, that type of thing. And I said, well, if that's the case, they have bigger problems because that's a quarterback issue. That's not design or lack of help up front. So it's all going to be stress tonight. That much we know. There was very little stress week one in the over-unders, boys. You guys both went 3-2 in the over-under numbers. Very, very solid. So we're off to a game over 500 start as we begin over-unders week 2 tonight, and we will start here with Z on this one. We are looking for a receiving yardage. Elijah Moore, over under George Pickens.
Yeah, I'll take the over on that. I think if Amari is limited or if he doesn't go, Elijah Moore is going to play a big role for the Browns. And, you got to at least, and this is one of those where you got to use your head. Pickens coming this a little bit, banged up.
Little
with the
hobbled.
hammy. Yeah, you want to – I think if it was normal circumstances, everything together, I would take Pickens. But I'm going to take, given his injury and given the fact that I think Elijah plays a bigger role, I'm going to go Elijah Moore.
Give it.
I'm going to say under because I feel like maybe RB2 tonight is Elijah Moore.
Oh, baby.
And maybe he has more yards rushing than he does receiving.
How about can we get total yards, Bo?
Look into the committee. Should we give him total yards, Uno?
I think Moore's going to get more rushes.
I don't even know.
Fair.
I don't know.
He
what
doesn't think
Jacob
it's fair.
Square's
Overruled.
doing back there.
Overruled. Not total yards, just receiving yards. Uno, the voice of reason. Next.
Unbelievable.
Over, under.
I don't know what's going on back there with Jacob Square today.
He's killing it. Are you killing me? He's dominant. Nick Chubb.
Every time I call, I hear laughter in the background. I'm like, oh, God, what is going on?
Living his best life. He's got a catering
he
setup in there, got some cocktails rolling. He doesn't even have a shirt on, for God's sakes. Nick Chubb touches.
Good for him on that note.
Doesn't he have a shirt on?
Nick Chubb touches, Gibbe. The over-under this week, 23.5. 23.5. Nick Chubb touches, Gibbe.
Over. We're going to the 100-yard mark because we're going to be running out the clock in the fourth quarter.
All right. Zagura.
I'm with Gibbe on this one. Over as well. I think we're going to get a lot of Nick Chubb this week.
Next.
Over,
It's been a very civil over-under here for
Well, that's
2
because we're in
weeks so
3
far.
different locations. Uno's over here without a shirt on. I can't tell if Griff's got pants on. I don't know what's going on. Deshaun Watson.
Nice.
Total offense. Gibbe. Or is it Uzi? It's Uzi. 249.5. He was about 205 week 1. 249.5.
Over.
Gibbe?
Over. It's going to be clear temps in the low to mid 60s.
Oh, baby. Come on.
Let's go. It
Let
is
us eat.
perfect tonight.
Let
It
us
is
eat.
perfect.
Let us eat over there, for God's sakes. Next.
Over, under.
Sacks, interceptions, and fumbles.
Darn it.
Gibbe. By the way, yeah, you got this one last week. You got it. It's a new year. It's a brand new day.
Oh, my God. That's
It's
it.
a brand new day.
Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Gibbe, keep it going.
The number this week, 4.5. Gibbe, 4.5. Sacks and turnovers, 4.5.
Over.
Oh, my
over,
God.
over.
Gibbe's
over,
predicting
over.
a slumping.
I love it.
4.5. Big number, Z. It's a big number.
Love it. It is a big number. I think, Myles Garrett has a sack in 6 straight games against AFC North opponents. I think we'll be able to get to him. If you look at last week, 5 sacks, 2 picks for Pickett. That's 7 right there.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be Slumptown. Let's go. Over.
Next.
Over, under.
The actual. It's surprisingly low. I guess we were way under last week. We were 47.5. We were way under. This week it is 38.5, Dr. Z.
I feel like, man, it's tough because I don't like the unders. I take them at times. I do think we should be able to really stifle this offense. But I could see you said 38.5?
38.5.
Yeah, 27-10 doesn't get you there. 24-14 doesn't get you there.
Mm-mm-mm.
Do we put 30 on them?
Oh, boy.
Sure. Over.
Oh, gosh. Give it.
I'm going over just barely, but over.
God. Oh, my gosh. Slump City. You guys are saying Slump City. That's the numbers that you've delivered.
Okay.
Let's
Hold
go.
on. Let me real quick because I know Joe Hayden's coming on.
Yeah.
Fact or fiction? The Browns have to score more than they scored last week to win.
Fiction.
Fiction.
Don't you think? We could beat them
Yes.
23-10, 21-10.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you're safe. You think fact? I don't think they're going to score.
I don't know.
Well, the total's going to be tough if they don't score. But I'm happy.
Well,
to
unless you
lose
go
that one.
crazy slump.
Crazy slump.
Crazy
40
slumping.
40-0.
I love it.
I mean, I'm happy to relive 1989 in person. I'd love that.
Let's go. Gibby, have a great call tonight. Great management of the call tonight, my friend, and great checking up with you. Going to be a big night tonight over in the Steel City, my friend.
Gentlemen, I look forward to champagne wishes tomorrow while we do our Victory Tuesday.
Oh, we're going to be so chesty if that happens. It's not even.
Oh my God, yes.
Good Lord! All right, the great Gibby over in Pittsburgh. Coming up next, the great Joe Hayden, who's been on both sides of this rivalry. Give us a feel for that. Coming up next, you'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Pet Supply Plus, giving you the chance to win tickets to home games all season long while providing the best deals for your pet at over 75-plus locations in Ohio. Enter to win tickets at clevelandbrowns.com/Pet Supplies Plus and receive a coupon to use at your local Pet Supply Plus with your entry. Pet Supplies Plus, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We had back out on the Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea Hotline, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns, former Pro Bowl corner who played for both of these teams, Joe Hayden, joining the program. Obviously, there is a vitriol that is pretty well-founded on both sides, Joe, from the fans' perspective. You're in the unique position having played for both. What can you tell us about the two fans? What are some of the differences, and what are the similarities?
I think there's some big differences and there's some big similarities. I think one of the biggest differences I like that the Cleveland Browns fans just not having the level of loyalty from with the team not having as much success as I would think they would normally do. The Cleveland Browns fans are just so loyal. I think Pittsburgh is. I love the Steelers fans too. They embraced me when I came in, but they're just more. I think they're so accustomed to winning or feeling a certain type of way that they're a little more bougie.
They've enjoyed a lot of success.
They've won a lot. Yeah,
they've won a lot. They've expected to win, and I think that could be a factor tonight. Let me ask you this: if the Browns get out to a fast start, if the defense suffocates, the Steelers' offense early, that stadium could actually turn against the Steelers. We heard them boo in the opener against the Niners. What would that have an impact if all of a sudden, Acrisure Stadium, Heinz Field, in my mind, if they're booing the Steelers?
I mean, I think so. At the same time, you always say you're out there, you're doing the job, but if you're at your home stadium at the beginning of the season, you want your crowd to be behind you, obviously. And just sometimes, if it doesn't start off well, you do a lot of punts, a lot of 3 and outs. That they do not like not scoring points.
Well, that's the thing, Joe, and you obviously
they certainly don't, and that's a question, right? If you were going to defend, this offense, and they won't have Deontay Johnson, who I think is one of the best route runners in the league. Pickens is a little bit banged up. If you're the Browns, what do you think is the priority today? You got to stop Najee. Are you worried about anything in the passing game? How would you what would your approach be on the defensive side of the ball today?
Well, my biggest thing for sure would be to stop Najee. You got to dominate the line of scrimmage. You got to make sure you just can't get him started, because that'll give Kenny Pickett just some time to be able to get the linebackers moving up and be able to have some more shots. So I think if we can get Najee Harris stopped and he doesn't run the ball too well to start the beginning of the game, I think that will kind of set the tone.
Well, Joe, and look, we saw what happened to them in the opener against San Francisco. Where that doesn't happen very often, where they just kind of get bullied. But San Francisco bullied them and punched them in the mouth a lot. We're built similarly, right, with the defensive front. They're probably a little better at linebacker. We might be a little bit better at corner. It feels like this is a Styles for fight type situation. From the Pittsburgh perspective, this is not an ideal matchup based on personnel, is it?
I wouldn't say so. I think especially now with the way that the defense has been playing with the D-line, you said the linebackers are still really, really good, but I think it's the D-line and the cornerbacks that really set the tone for the Cleveland Browns defense. I mean, last game when they played against Cincinnati and Joe Burrow threw for under 100 yards, that was impressive. They looked like they were flying around, and the one thing I loved about that game was they looked like they were having so much fun together, just jumping around, celebrating, cheering, and that's the energy part that you need. Like, they looked like they were enjoying the game and just dominating. And then Miles being able to come through at the last play for the sack. So I think the defensive line and the cornerback position is going to be really, really important for the Browns, and I think they're the stars on the defense.
Yeah, how fun is it when you got guys up front as a corner, when you guys got guys up front who can get after the quarterback like that? What does that do for you? How does that change the way maybe you're thinking when you know that the ball's got to come out early?
It's just a way better understanding when they feel like if they have a one-on-one matchup, they should be winning their one-on-one matchups within 3 seconds. So when you're out there playing man-to-man, it's like I'm playing man-to-man, you're playing man-to-man. If you beat your one-on-one, it's everybody knowing that they have your back. So basically, the times when I'm playing with, like when I was with T.J. Watt or Cam Hayward, if they had a one-on-one, they felt like if they didn't win within 3 seconds and they made us cover longer, that was their bad. So having the defensive line and having the DBs being on the same page, like, look, guys, if we're out here in this coverage, you know what I'm saying, you're going to have to win your one-on-ones. And then just everybody keeping each other accountable and wanting to win their one-on-ones.
You mentioned Cam Hayward, and you would know better than anybody. What does he mean to that team on the field? What does he mean to that team in the locker room as a presence? 6 straight Pro Bowls, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 78.5 career sacks. The guy is a stud. He will be out. I think that this is a massive loss, but how big is it, Joe?
He's one of the guys that was the cornerstone of that team for years that they've been out there. So he's kind of, I relate him to the Joe Thomas of when I was in Cleveland. He was, when I came to Pittsburgh, he was kind of that guy, the one that everybody looked at that did his thing the right way, was just a grown man and just handled his business just super maturely. So I think not only just his leadership and his talent on the field, it's going to definitely hurt off the field a little too, because he's just the one that always just keeps the camaraderie up.
Joe, that defense still has some big-time star power. Highsmith and Watt, obviously, Defensive Player of the Year guy. How should the Browns attack for them? If there is an advantage that Pittsburgh has definitively, it would be those two edges against our two tackles. How should Kevin Stefanski attack those two?
You should try to chip them. You should try to help them, chip them, because I feel like the outside rush is going to be a lot more tougher than the inside. So just making sure that you had that, add the tight end, add a receiver hanging off to the side, and just make sure you had those chip blocks and make sure you keep them accounted for, because T.J. Watt is a game wrecker. Highsmith is also becoming one of those guys, but I think if you can keep T.J., they had 2 sacks last week, and T.J. had both of them. So just making sure that always, no matter what, keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he is a dangerous man. Had 3 sacks in the opener. Highsmith's averaging 2 sacks a game against the Browns the last 3. I think that's the one area that the Browns really need to be stout on those edges against Watt and Highsmith. But you always have to be cognizant of where Minkah Fitzpatrick is. He scored 5 times, including once against the Browns in 2020, but 5 defensive touchdowns, the most in the league. 19 career picks. Last year had 6, tied for most in the league. What makes Minkah Fitzpatrick so great? You played with a lot of great guys on the back end, but what made Minkah Fitzpatrick stand out, and why is he so dangerous?
He has it all. You know, he's strong, he's fast, his attention to detail. He's also one of those dudes like the coach on the field. He loves the game, and he doesn't do anything basically but do study. So, on the planes until the last second of the game, in meetings, he's making sure he gets that extra, that little tidbit, that little note, when the receiver lines up this far offside of the line, he's going to run this route. So he's always just trying to get that little advantage, and him being that talented as he is already going to be able to be there. So, I think his just love of the game and his studying is what makes him, that gives him that little extra.
Joe, we've been talking kind of throughout the first hour of the show that, most of the matchups favor the Browns. The Browns have the deeper, more talented team. I think most people would say that. But then when you think about it's this stuff that are not physical that maybe they have an advantage of. It's playing over there. It's renegade. It's all of that stuff. There's like a mythology, right, to playing over there. Mm-hmm. How real is all of that stuff when you're one of the guys who's between the lines?
Well, when you're one of the guys, I say when I was in Pittsburgh, they just feel as though they should win. And that's one thing that I think they know, that we're in Cleveland, just becoming a rivalry, becoming to make sure they can go into their house and win some games. I think it's a whole thing, and it's just been a long legacy now. But I think starting off the new with Miles, with getting Deshaun Watson here, with the Browns finally starting off, winning the first game of the season, that hasn't happened in years. I think that this just got to flip the script. Them saying Cleveland is Cleveland. Like, them just understanding, like, everybody's going to play with you until you start making things happen. And I think that this team is the one that's like, all right, we get it. You just got to come out there and continue to win games. And if you can come out there and the renegade and all that stuff is working, but when you're winning, that renegade could also probably get the Browns hype. I'm just saying, when you're in the mood and you're out there, it could do a little both.
Joe, what would it mean, as somebody who's been on both sides of it? The Browns have not won there in the regular season since 2003, so that even predated your time there. What would it mean for the Browns to go on the road into Pittsburgh, Monday Night Football, and beat them to go to 2-0?
It would be huge. They would be huge. I think this would be one of the biggest things for the Browns in a very, very long time. And just for the division to see, and just for them to know that they can do it themselves. I always, my whole career there, you wanted to win the first game of the season. You wanted to go 1-0. Was never able to start 1-0. You go through the whole training camp. So right now, you can go there and you can beat Cincinnati. Then you can come and beat Pittsburgh. You're letting the division know, and that you're not playing and you're here to stay. So I think it'll just do a lot for the team, for the morale, for the city, for all of Cleveland.
Joe, Browns haven't won over there in a regular season since 2003, haven't been favored over there since 1989. It's hard stuff to try to wrap your head around. What's your feeling tonight? How do you think this one goes over there?
Man, I think it's going to be a scratch and claw game. If Cleveland can get out early, because I think with Pittsburgh not having Cam, that's going to help Nick Chubb, Mr. Chubb, as Coach T calls him, being able to get that run game started. And if he can do that, Cleveland can control the clock. I think they might win in a low-scoring game, probably 21-18.
Tight. Going to be a fun one over there. Appreciate your perspective so much, my friend. Thanks, Joe.
Oh, my man. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, that's former Pro Bowl corner Joe Hayden, who was on the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. One of those few guys who was great in both uniforms.
Yes, and a guy who understands it and really understands it, certainly from the Browns side more, but understood what it meant to be a Steeler, to get to play in the playoffs, to have that success there. Joe Hayden, one of the best guys, and I think that his insights on Cam Hayward right there were significant, and he gets it, and he gets what this could mean for the Cleveland Browns. This is a big one. We are the better team. They need to go out there, and they need to execute and do it tonight.
I also think the fact that he picked it 21-18 tells you how real belief and all of those things are, right? Because we acknowledge that we're better at almost everything. Almost every matchup favors the Browns, except for those two ends against our two tackles. Everything else favors us, and yet he's not picking it 38-17. He's picking it 21-18. So that's right on that line. So it tells you how tough it is to go over there and try to break that team's will.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what this is going to be, right? Break this team's will, establish your physical dominance, and when you get the opportunity to make some big plays, make them. I think this game will come down to a few big plays, and I think that we have the talent to be the team that makes the majority of those big plays, especially when they matter, and that's why the Browns are going to win.
We talk about all of these dates in years gone by. There's another one that can get kind of shut up tonight as well. We will have that in our keys to the victory coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Your furry friend, how what it takes to beat out the competition under the dog race sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for a chance to have your pup compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/contest to enter and check out more from Milkbone at your local grocery or pet supply store. Time for your keys to victory tonight as the Browns attempt to go 2-0 for the first time in 30 years. Good Lord, Dr. Z, it would be good to stop talking about all this stuff from years gone by. How do we do it?
By just going out there and executing. We are the better team. We'll start with just some tangible things, right? We said it. If you don't lose the turnover battle, I believe the Browns win this game. Take care of the football. You cannot make a habit of turning the ball over twice and losing turnovers twice in opponents' territories and winning football games. Yes, the Browns did it week 1. Not a recipe for sustained success. Number 2, dominate on the ground. This is a game where that matters. It's 2023. It's a different NFL. You got to be able to throw the ball. I get all that, and I think the Browns have the better passing attack, but they must dominate on the ground. Offensively behind Nick Chubb, defensively stopping Najee Harris and putting this game in the hands of Kenny Pickett in 3rd and long, obvious passing situations. I really think if the Browns do that, they will cripple the Steelers offensively, and I think our offense and our ground game with Nick Chubb has the opportunity to break the spirit of the Steelers defensively. And if the Browns do those things, they will absolutely win this football game because the Steelers are a team that I think is more akin to what the Browns used to be. They've got to follow a fairly particular script of getting a lead, of running the football, of being, making plays on defense to kind of ice that down, taking the football away. They can't win an even game with a team that's better than them. The Browns are better. They're not going to win an even game, so make it an even game.
One of the things situationally that I think will be key, and Stefanski's pretty good about this, we don't get off schedule much offensively. So what I mean by that is we're not often in 3rd and forever, 3rd and long. That's when Watt and Highsmith can feast.
Yes.
So managing those types of situations to me is critical in the operation because you don't want to be in a and Stefanski's great with this. We're not in it much. It's not often we're in 3rd and long, but when you are, that's when Highsmith and Watt can wreak absolutely havoc on an offensive front. And if you're looking for one point of that's the one I don't love, it is for sure. And it's not that we love everything we've seen from DeJuan Jones. This is just a totally different animal of a test. Now he's played great pass rushers at the University of Georgia. Jalen Carter's second in college in the NFL right now as a rookie in pressures. He's behind Parsons. I think he's only behind Parsons and Hutchinson. Those two are tied. Carter's second. So you've played, but this is a different animal. This is a pro. This is T.J. Watt. So how DeJuan handles that, how Big Thanos handles that, and then can Jed handle the other side and play to where he was drafted?
Yeah, play like the 10th overall pick. Be a lockdown left tackle. Be what Joe Thomas was for this organization. And I'm not saying you have to be a Hall of Famer, but be reliable and do not give up that game-changing or season-changing play. And unfortunately, it was Trey Hendrickson getting around Jed Wills that led not only to an incomplete pass, it led to the injury of Jack Conklin. It's not Jed's fault.
No.
Nobody would ever say that. But that pressure is what ultimately led to that injury. And so we've got to be more sturdy on those outsides. I think that is so important. I think our combination in the middle, Bitonio, Posick, Teller, is going to dominate. With no Cam Hayward out there, I think we're going to dominate. Cam Hayward historically has given Joel Bitonio a tough time.
Gives the whole league a tough time. But yes.
He does. But he is gone. And I expect us to handle them on the interior significantly so.
Yeah, it's I know that there's a section of the fan base that wants to see this explosive Deshaun Watson performance. It can wait. I'd love to see it too, but it's not needed. Hopefully it's not needed tonight. I think if it's needed tonight, then the game doesn't go the way that you want it to be scripted.
No,
I would say
it should
that
not be a shootout.
No, this should be Nick Chubb and a heavy dose, and really their inability to handle him. You heard Joe Hayden talking about the two ends, about chipping them. Without Cam, we've talked about it ad nauseum in terms of an ability to just run it between the guards almost, and just force that type of action and their inability to stop it. So this feels like a Nick Chubb game, and he was so quietly great week 1. He's been so quietly great his entire career. On Monday Night Football, this type of audience feels to me like he could have one tonight. It feels like it's set up, and if it is, that's a game script that fares very well for our fortunes.
It does, and that's what we talked about. You know, Nick Chubb, you look at it in his career against this Pittsburgh Steelers team, when he does well, the Browns do well. 3-0 when he's rushed for more than 80 yards against the Steelers. 0-5-1 when he has not hit that threshold. Averaging just 72 yards a game against them for his career, just 82 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. And one of the weird stats is, you know, Nick Chubb does not have a rushing touchdown now in his last 7 games. He caught a touchdown, but he does not have a rushing touchdown in the last 7 games with the Cleveland Browns. So I want to see him run it, and I want to see him get into the end zone as well.
Yeah, and from their side of things, you read the stuff that's being written over there. You listen to the sports talk radio over there. You talk to the people on social who cover that team. There is a lot of – it feels like it's simmering, right, with what their offense was week 1 with Matt Canada. He's getting a lot, obviously, of the blame on what's happening. There was a lot of propping up of Kenny Pickett in this preseason. A lot of people picked the Steelers to win the division. Almost everybody picked them to make the playoffs. Hey, that's smart. They always have a winning record under Tomlin. It's always been the case. But I do think that you made a great point, I think, earlier in terms of getting the first couple of series. If you can get a 3-and-out, if defensively you can get them off the field and put some sort of points on the board, 2 3-and-outs to start for Pittsburgh, I think could have a dramatically negative effect on that building over there. I think it'd have a dramatically negative effect on a second-year quarterback who's looking to have some moments. He had a couple of fourth-quarter comebacks last year, but consistently he's just not been there. And it was probably worse in week 1 than I think even statistically it looked. So there is a simmering nervousness over there for sure.
Yeah, this is the first time in my time with the Browns going there where you felt like if you get to a certain start over the course of the first quarter, you could completely turn that crowd against the Steelers. That's never even been something that's even entered my mind, honestly, before going over there. This is an opportunity to do that because of the way their offense looked, because of the fact they're coming off of a blowout. The Browns are coming off of a blowout win. You know, I think this could get real ugly really quickly, and that's on the Browns to execute early. I think it's very important how we start offensively and defensively in this game because you really have a chance to almost just suck the life out of that building, and not only suck the life out of it, but turn it against the home team.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. You know, we know what that can be. You deal with this. Ohio Stadium does this from time to time. Like that crowd, that building can get nervy in a second just because they're so used to all the success, and it can start to unravel the home team. I've seen it happen over there where they have some ridiculous losses that you wouldn't expect. It can happen in our building where it turns, and there's a power in that. We talk about all of the mystical things around playing night games over there and playing in that building. A lot of that stuff's very real, but some of it can go the other way if it goes bad early for them over there. Your forecast presented by Carrier. Carrier, turn to the experts. Temps in the mid-60s, clear skies for kickoff over at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. Top 5 atmosphere for you, Pittsburgh at night?
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's an awesome stadium. It's an awesome venue, and I've only seen bad things happen there, with the exception of one time when there was nobody there, so there wasn't an atmosphere at all when the Browns won that playoff game. I'm very excited to be there and have an atmosphere and have that hopefully be a sad stadium at the end of the game. That is not something I've experienced yet.
The greatest thing in sport is a full-throat place and something good happens for the home team. The next coolest thing in sport is a full stands place, shut up, quiet because of something that the opposition has done.
Just silent. Yep. The silence will be golden.
Yeah, certainly will. All right, one of the guys who's going to play a factor in this is Anthony Walker. He sits down with Z. Coming up next, you'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of the Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. I'm very happy to be joined by a friend of the show, Browns captain Anthony Walker. AWOC, what did it mean to you to come back and get on the field against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 1?
Yeah, it was exciting, man, just to be out there with my teammates. A lot of guys that I credit my rehab journey to, guys showing up every day, just giving me the confidence that I could come back, that I could, regain form and then help this team in any way possible that I can. So it was fun, man. It was exciting. The crowd was really turned. Obviously the players were turned up the whole game. With the weather and everything like that. Just to feel that all the emotions. Obviously myself. First game back, but the first home opener against a division opponent, Battle of Ohio, Part 1. It was exciting, man. Exciting to be a part of.
When you kind of visualize, when you're alone doing your rehab, all the work to get back, you visualize, and then you guys go out there and turn in a performance like that in the first one back. Did that even exceed, what you thought it could have been like out there?
Yeah, no doubt. For me, I was just more. I didn't care about myself and like individual statistics at that point, because I know that journey was. It was not just about myself. It was a lot of guys, like I said, that really helped me during that time, and a lot of guys that made some huge plays. You talk about Miles, MJ, Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit. Like, those are guys that really helped me throughout my rehab process. So to watch those guys go out there and, put a complete performance like that together, and then obviously the team, the way we all fought together, offense, defense, special teams, through everything, man. And for me, it was surreal. Because that's what you play the game for. That's what you get back for. There were days, and during my rehab where I thought I would never be able to play the game again. It just didn't. Some days just wasn't clicking. My body just wasn't responding the way I wanted it to. But I credit my obviously my faith in God, my family obviously, and then my teammates. Man, they were a huge part of this whole process. So just to be back out there with those guys was huge for me.
Was it helpful to have Sione Takitaki in your room with you throughout this process? And I know he got injured, later on in the season, but you guys spent this entire offseason together getting back.
Yeah, no doubt. We talked about that the whole time. I think the best part about it for us is that we, obviously everybody in our room can play at every position, but the fact that me and him could, get help each other get, each other's feet wet. I'm not playing every snap. He's not playing every snap. We're, rotating. We're getting some good, a good mix in there. So we're both just getting our feet wet. We haven't played in so long. I haven't played in almost a year. Him, 8 months, 9 months. So, to have that someone that you can lean on and, can help you throughout the whole process. And even now that we're still getting back, we're not even close to where we want to be at the end of the season, both of us. So to have somebody like that that's going through the ground with you is always huge.
All right, when you're at that second level, you look in front of you and you see the guys at the first level. And you mentioned Miles earlier. Well, in comes Dalvin Tomlinson. In comes Zadarius Smith. In comes Obo Okoronkwo. In comes Shelby Harris. You drafted guys. Maurice Hurst is new this year as well. 7 guys in that defensive line are brand new. How much nicer is it, or how much easier are they making your guys' job at the second level, the way that they were just devouring offensive linemen and keeping you guys clean?
Yeah, we talked about that as linebackers during the game and after the game. We had the best seat in the house. We were able to see, obviously, the front be dominant, and then you turn around and you see DBs making amazing plays. So we literally had the best seat in the house. It was exciting to see. Like you said, man, those guys are the engine up front. They really drive us. They really make everything go. Without them, our defense doesn't work. So, and then obviously the DBs back there, they're that's the glue. That's what make it all go together. And then, like I said, we got the best seat in the house. We clean those guys up, whenever they need it, but they didn't need it too much last game.
Now, everybody's talking about Miles and Zadarius. Obo gets a sack. That stuff all shows up in the stat sheet. What Dalvin Tomlinson does doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, but he did a lot in that game against the Bengals. So what kind of love can you give your big man up front?
He knows that. We locker mate. We sit right next to each other. Obviously, like you said, he does the dirty work, man, that nobody sees, but, we appreciate more than anything. just if you watch just the snaps of everybody getting sacks and everything like that, or the runs getting stopped, his guy is literally 3 yards in the backfield. He's resetting the line of scrimmage automatically. So, like I said, it doesn't look, pretty, or it's not the glitz and glamour that, Miles and Za'Darius and Obo get from getting sacks, but it's a huge part of our defense and that we need every week.
What's Jim Schwartz brought to this defense?
I think it's just that consistent message. I always said that, the best coaches I've been around, they are the same person every day. And that's huge, especially as a leader of men in the National Football League. Obviously, we see the ups and downs, the ebb and flows of NFL, of football. But, the one consistent is your coach, your coach's message, and win, lose, or draw, Schwartz doesn't care about the stats. He doesn't care about, what we do, wins, losses. It's all about, the camaraderie of the team, playing hard and just having swag and passion. And that takes care of everything else. So, you have a coach that preaches that every day, and let the results happen. I think that allows the guys to be free, have fun, obviously, be locked in on their assignments. And, like I said, just, you put a performance like that we just put on.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to get back to the camaraderie part because I want to talk to you about that in particular. But you mentioned the swag. Miles is out there doing crossovers. You were blitzing on that play. Just the creativity to come up with that look for you guys to get what you wanted. But did you get a chance? Did you know that was happening in real time, or were you too far ahead of him? Okay. All right.
See him, but I knew he was, he could literally have, he could do whatever on that play, and as long as he gets to the quarterback. So, we're never surprised when Miles does anything that he does. You should see him in practice do, spin moves and all type of stuff. So, but whatever works, I guess.
Do you like that kind of creativity, though? It looked like you guys were getting, those 5-man looks, moving everybody around. Were you coming? Were you not coming? And you could tell the Bengals' offensive line and the center in particular, especially on that play, was like, oh, man.
Yeah, no, you want to give – that's a great offense. They have a great quarterback, great passing attack, great running backs, everything like that. So you want to just change up the looks, for the O-line and for the quarterback. Just make it cloudy just a little bit, and – anytime that we're able to make them not comfortable, not sure what we're doing, it puts us at an advantage. And that's tough to do against a team like that. But, Coach Schwartz is very creative. You got a lot of guys that, like you said, have the personality, have swag to just do things that fits what we need to do, but they still, can get to what their job is, their assignment is, and that's huge. So, Coach Schwartz allows it, and I'm like I said, I had the best seat in the house.
You were all for it. All right, you mentioned camaraderie earlier. Just watching the game, from my vantage point up in the booth, I could see on the sideline, it was like standing room only when you guys were on the field. Everybody on this defense is up. Everybody is engaged. You guys carry by each other, and it felt like not just the defense, it's the whole team. Is this different? It feels to me like it's a little bit different than in years past.
Yeah, no doubt. That was the most energy I felt since I've been here. Just like you said, from the whole team, Obviously, defense, you make plays. There's obviously going to be a lot of energy in the building. But I just felt like it was a lot of selflessness going on. A lot of guys, linebackers want to make plays. Corners want to make plays. All the D-line want to make plays. And nobody cared who made the play, as long as the play was made. And it was excitement for everybody, whoever made the play. And that's what you want. That's the start of something special right there. That's something that you got to put on tape, 17 weeks. But like I said, that's a great start and what we want to get accomplished. But, when another team feels your passion, your energy, it's hard on them, especially when you're winning downs, you're winning third down and stuff like that. It get demoralizing a little bit. So, we want to put that on tape every week, have that same energy, have that same swag and passion, and obviously it's going to be the fuel for us.
When you look back at it now, the time at the Greenbrier, the time in Philadelphia, do you think that really did kind of help you guys bond not only on the field but off the field, which then carries over to on the field?
Yeah, no doubt. I think that was huge. I told Kev that when, he first talked about Greenbrier. I thought it was a good start for us, to get away for camp and just kind of set the tone that we're in camp mode, It's only us footballing teammates, so, you had nothing to do but be with your teammates, or be studying football. And I think we got better at both, so like I said, that was huge. Obviously being in Philly, the joint practices always bring a team together, especially being the away team on it, you have a little bit more time to spend with each other and stuff like that. And then, like I said, but I think guys, this started from this offseason, guys hanging out with each other, just the little things, the little details that, like you said, don't, it's not mentioned in the stat book or nothing like that, but huge for our team. The camaraderie, just the intangibles that you can't see on paper, it really helps us.
All right, so Greg told us last week, he was out with us at the Kevin Stefanski show, that you guys all got together, the entire defense, to watch the season opener, which was the Chiefs and the Lions, and that you had something to do with that. So is that something that's going to be a regular thing? Because I have a lot of questions about this. So how did that kind of come to be? How was that your idea, and what came out of it? And is that something you guys are doing all the time now?
Well, we knew that a lot of teams that I've been on, Rod McLeod, coming from Indy as well, where I was. We talked about just really incorporating those position dinners. A lot of guys did them in Greenbrier, a lot of guys did them in Philly, everything like that. So for me, I just wanted to do one, just everyone together, just for the first week, the whole defense together. I know that everybody's going to start doing their own position groups, starting this week. But I really thought that it was huge for our team, for our defense to just get that one last, it's time, and obviously being the first game coming on, the start of the, actual football season was huge. So I just thought it would be good to get the guys together and, we could say that was a part of why we won and all that. But like I said, it's all about the camaraderie. It's all about the stuff that goes behind the scenes, that, it's just going to help us. Anytime we're able to just talk ball or, talk life and get to know one another and just enjoy each other's company outside of, meetings and football practice and all that stuff is huge. So, again, we'll get together a lot more times. We had a lot of birthdays on this team that, we spent together. So, that was no different. Just like I said, just wanted to get the whole defense together and, really enjoy that moment.
All right, so where do you guys do this at?
We did Marble Room. They normally take care of us. A lot of guys do
position
dinners at Marble Room, but like steakhouses and stuff like that. Sometimes guys get chefs and have people come over. So, for me, I enjoy just, spending time with my teammates outside of the building, when it's mandatory. Sure. When it's not mandatory, when, you can just be yourself, just, come and chill. Linebackers, we do Marble Room a lot, so we need to find some of those places actually. But, it's just good. It's just good to see. And like I said, that one was really special because it was, the whole defense there, and they really took care of us there.
That is awesome. Sounds like it would have been a great time. I got to get on the defensive side of the ball somehow here and get to some of these good dinners. Steelers, big deal. Monday Night Football, national TV, the new white uniforms, white helmets, the whole deal, all of it for you. It was the Steelers game where you went down, coming back. What does this all mean to this team? Knowing that we started, and you keep saying the word start, and I love that. We started. It was great. We won one game. There are 16 more to go in this regular season. We hope to play a lot more than 16 when it's all said and done.
No doubt. Like you said, man, that was a great start to the season. But we don't want to be just starting the season off the right way. We want to continue trending in the right direction, uphill the whole time. And it's another division opponent. We know what Cleveland and Pittsburgh rivalry is. For a while, they talked about it not even being a rival because, we didn't win, and I haven't had a lot of success against Pitt since I've been in the NFL. Obviously we won last year, the game I got hurt. But other than that, I think that was the only time, that we won, that I've beaten Pitt. So, obviously it's a real moment for me. Night game again against Pitt. Obviously got hurt last year, and I saw something today that people thought that I said that because about what number 76 did to me or anything like that. Obviously that was that was not a play where I got hurt because of the other player. That was a non-contact injury. He did his job, which was to finish the play, and he finished the play not knowing that I was hurt. So I don't want people to think that I'm saying that, it's personal for me because of that. It's more because, honestly, I thought I never would play football again. There were days where it looked very cloudy. I didn't think that, I was worth it. Like it was a lot. The rehab process was really tough. And, that's why, this is a surreal moment for me because, like I said, I didn't know I would be here again. And, through God, through, my teammates, family, everything like that, the trainers, I'm here, and I'm able to play this game that I really love again. So, yeah, it is a surreal moment for me in that aspect. But, again, this is a big game because it's the next game on our schedule, and it's a division opponent. And, Kev talks about it at the start of each season. To get where we want to go, the first step is always winning your division. We got to win division games. We got to win division games on the road. That's what good teams do. You win one game, you win another game, and that's what we have to do. Primetime TV, all that stuff adds the glitz and glamour, but for us as a team, this game could be played anywhere, anytime, any day, and I think the guys are going to be ready.
Dude, I'm so happy you're back. I'm so happy you were able to get through all of that to be there and to be on the field Monday night for the Browns and to be part of this organization. So, dude, welcome back. Love it. Let's go.
I appreciate you, my guy. Always happy to be a part of the show.
Oh, good stuff there. That'll get you jacked up for this one tonight. Our selections coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, here's what you can look forward to tonight on the radio network. 4:30 Browns game day, Ken and Gerard. 6:30 Cleveland Browns kickoff show with Andy and Tyvis. Then 8:15 kickoff from Cleveland Browns Stadium. Chris Rose, Z, and Gerard on the call for the game between the Browns and the Steelers. Your guests on the network tonight include Joe Buck, Kurt Warner, Joe Hayden, Myles Garrett, Coach Stefanski, and more. Speaking of Joe Buck, he was on Pat McAfee this afternoon and said that Coach Stefanski told him that he expected Amari Cooper to play tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, that certainly would be a good thing, and whether that's in a full capacity, a limited capacity, cut down his snaps a little bit, that's fine. Just having him out there, I think, would be a big thing for the Cleveland Browns.
What will you be looking for early to give you a feel on how this one is going to go tonight, pal?
fast start. Who's moving the line of scrimmage? Are we moving the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? And then is Deshaun Watson locked in? Is the ball coming out? Is it accurate? Is the ball going where it's supposed to? If we have that, we're going to win. As long as we don't turn over. That's the key.
Is there things that you look for? I mean, in the old days, you were down on the field, obviously, all the time.
Yeah.
Are there things that you look for in pregame that are signs of this will go well?
It's more just kind of the general attitude and the way that you feel about it, the general vibe in the sense that, do the coaches – I always can tell from the coaches if they think, like, the guys are fully locked in and they've got a great game plan. I mean, before Cincinnati, they really felt like defensively they were going to slump them. And I do feel that they, at least leading – I'll see when I get to the field in Pittsburgh today. But, leading up into the week, they certainly have felt that way again. So, it's a couple bounces of the ball change all that real quickly, but that's really what I'm looking for. Are they confident? Is this a team that has full belief? And, too often we were a team that was hoping to win as opposed to a team that was expecting to win. And I think Joe summed it up best. That was the difference with the Steelers is they expected to win. And that kind of begets winning because you're not nervous. You know that you're going to clutch up when you need to. And I think this Browns team has the talent to become a team that expects to win and knows they're going to win. And I remember talking with Michael Kendricks after that Super Bowl, and I'm sure Rodney McLeod would say the same thing, or Juan Thornhill, just that we got to the point where we just knew we were going to win. Like, nothing fazed us. Nobody got nervous. We just knew we were going to win games. And that's where this Browns team, I think that's why this game's so big, because I think winning it instills that belief going forward. It'll be great to hear everybody talk about, the Titans are a trap game. When's the last time they said, the Browns might have a trap game here, looking ahead to the Ravens? Like, that's a good position to be in. Good teams have, quote-unquote, trap games.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you said there that's really important is the Steelers, and Joe was talking about their fan base, and the belief to win versus hope to win or whatever.
Yeah.
Good Lord, they've had a ton of talent over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Go count the Gold Jackets that have come from Pittsburgh in the last 30 years. Now go count the Gold Jackets that have come from us. They've had the better teams. This is what good teams do. You go over there, you act accordingly. You're the better team. They're more beaten up than you are. Physically impose your will. Get the win. Handle it as a business trip. Not a big deal. Expect to handle it. Come back and start getting ready for Tennessee on a short week. That's the job. That's what good teams do.
Yeah, we have more Pro Bowlers on both sides of the ball. I mean, this is –
come on. Let's go.
We're better. Go do it. Go be better. And I believe we will. All
right, we've got a Monday night. It's not a doubleheader. This is the first time they've done this. It's a staggered Monday night. We've never done this before other than in the COVID year when you were making up games that were canceled over the weekend.
Sure.
So you get a New Orleans at Carolina early on ESPN, and then you get our game late. Let's start with the first one. How do you see it, sir?
1 minute.
I like the Saints. I like what they're doing, and I think Carolina's got a lot of issues, and scoring the football is definitely one of them. So I like the Saints bigly, 30-10.
Same. And then our game, Monday Night Football, baby.
Us. I really do.
Come
I think
on,
it's going to be us.
let's go.
27-17 Browns.
Browns 90, Steelers 2. Let's go.
30.
Let's go. Oh, baby. Let's go.
We're going to be unapproachable tomorrow if this goes Slump City, baby.
Oh, if it is, get ready. We'll start. Everybody come in here. And we're going to be cool. We don't want to be criticized.
20.
Can't have
Super
that.
Bowl, but guess what? We'll be on our way.
Nope. Act accordingly, boys, over there. Safe
That's
travel,
right.
my friend. Look forward to the call
Thank
tonight.
you.
The next level coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.